All right, all right, all right, all right. Everybody, everybody. Habari za Asabui, Habari za Mchana, Habari za Gioni, brothers and sisters all over the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. The name of this channel is The African Times, and I'm Thomas. Okay, he just wants to say hello.
Hi.
Say it again.
Hi.
All right, all right. Okay, let Daddy make this video. I'll see you in a moment.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. Yes, I'm back. Listen, got some very important things to talk to you about just quickly as I'm preparing to go out. I did a video the other day, and we're going to do a series of them. But I did a video the other day, and I was talking to you about our good brother, Grandmaster J, John Fitzgerald Johnson. And I was telling you that he's the most important issue in our lives, the lives of my life, my children, your lives, your children, and our posterity, our children, our unborn children, our grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. And I didn't tell you why. I'm hoping what many of you who know the situation would be able to infer why. But it's better for me to be clear about it, okay? So I'm going to take a few minutes just to explain to you. Look the brother up and give all of your support to him because he's given all that he has to you and to me and to our children. In case you didn't know, Grandmaster J, John Fitzgerald Johnson, is a brother who actually ran for president. You probably wouldn't know that. He ran for president of the United States. He's been a brother who's been around in our community for many, many years. And during his life, he's, like many of us, learned over time a greater understanding of the world in which we live. Those of us who come from the United States, you live in a very dual world. And by that, what I mean is you live in the world that the U.S. tells you that it is, and then you live in a reality, a world that is actually what is happening. Not just what they're saying, but what is happening. Now, I'm telling you that part because as he grew and learned and developed, then he got understanding. He saw something that all of us see, but most of us do not have the courage to talk about or to take action to do something about it. And that is you and me, people who look like you and me. We have a very serious problem that we're dealing with worldwide. In the U.S. specifically, you may know, obviously, if you've been born like me, I'm a little older, so I'm old enough to remember things when, it was a harsh environment where you couldn't go certain places because overtly, if you went certain places, you said certain things, it could take your life, okay? Now, this is getting to the point that I'm making, why it's important. That's the most important thing. When I say take your life, you got to understand something. In the natural world, a world without government, a world without politics and politicians and rules and regulations created by someone, if you're an individual living, a human being living, then you need certain things. You need water. And if you don't have water and you don't get it over a certain time, it could kill you. If you don't get food, if you don't have food, if you go without for a certain period of time, it could kill you, okay? Now, that's kind of a natural environment. If there's an earthquake or if there's a tornado, where I'm from, we have tornadoes, or if there's a hurricane or something, these are natural things that can cause you harm, that could actually take your life, okay? So you have to do what? You have to protect yourself against them. You build a house, or you grow a garden, or you interact with your brother and sister who has a garden, and then you guys do some kind of, remember, economic exchange. Hey, man, you grow tomatoes? Okay, good, I grow potatoes. You want to have some tomatoes? I want to have some potatoes. We'll exchange each other, and we'll barter, or we'll do whatever it takes. Well, I got something that represents value, meaning money. Okay, I'm going to exchange that with you. All right. Fine, no problem with that. It's all good. So, then, without these necessities of life, we as human beings could die. We could perish, okay? Naturally, fine. But we don't live in an all natural world. We live in a world that has politics and politicians. We live in a world that, in America, public and private. Indio. Public and private. Indio, I'm sorry. Indio means yes. Public and private, meaning you have public, a government, an arrangement of people who are supposed to represent the mass of people. So you have a small number of people who say, yes, we are speaking on behalf of all of these other people. Many, many people. And we call that a government because they're the governing body. They take care of the things that we couldn't do as individuals. So collectively, they come together to make things. There are roads, public transportation, because people have to go from here and there, and everyone doesn't have a car. But if you come together collectively and you put together a system so people can move from here to there, then you leave that responsibility to the government to provide heat. The mechanical and technical resources are pulled together necessary to provide heat. If you live in an area that's cold, okay. I think you understand what I'm getting at. All right. So you have that public group that comes together to provide the things you need so you can survive, to protect you. Because remember, as I just pointed out, there are things in the environment that could take your life. Okay. All right. Now, let's move on to our good brother. Again, most important thing to happen in your life. Because we just talked about natural things that could take your life. But we live in what? A world that is both natural and also has politicians and politics and government and things like that. That was the public sector. Now let's talk about the private sector. Okay, private, when these people roll this out, these W's, they roll out private, private, private. All they're talking about is a group of individuals, unlike the public, a group of individuals who they have over time amassed a certain amount of resources, and they use those resources in such a way that causes them to be able to act in a certain way, or if they act in a certain way, they can act in a certain way that prevents you and me and people who look like you and me from acting in a certain way. And this is what we call a use of power. And we're going to talk more about that to get into an understanding of exactly what power is. But remember, I told you they amass a certain amount of resources that allows them to act in a certain way. And they also can use these resources to prevent you and me and others like us from acting. Okay? I think she wants to say hi. You got to come away from the sun.
Hi.
All right.
Can
All
you
right.
my friend too?
No, well, let me finish this video. Let me finish this video, okay? Just for a few minutes, and then I'll get you, okay? So let me finish. It's very important. It's the most important thing happening in our lives. So go play with her until we get ready to go, and then I'll be right back. Okay. All right, everybody. Just got to get back to that. Love her. Love the son. Okay. Listen. What I was saying is they can use this power in a certain way to act, but also use this power in a certain way to prevent you from acting. Now, why is that important? Why is Grandmaster J, John Fitzgerald Johnson, important? The most important thing. These individuals, okay, who amass these resources, and oftentimes when the private sector, if you trace it back, these individuals privately, if you trace it back, I told you they have resources. How did they get those resources? Usually it comes about, if you go back far enough, it comes about as a result of using certain resources violently to force others to give them resources that they don't already have on their own, but they know that another group of people have them, people that look like me and you. So since we have those resources, they use the resources that they have, weapons, things of that nature, things that can threaten you and force you into what? Giving them your resources that they don't have. That they don't have. I mean, take for example, certain locations in the world, certain geographical locations, Japan, Europe. Okay, Japan is an island. It's kind of like a rock. You know, it doesn't really have all of the resources that you might find in, say, a place like Africa. A place where there's an abundance of natural resources that allow me and you and all of us to survive comfortably and live good. It may not have that. Europe, climate, they may not have the type of climate that allows them to provide themselves with the resources that they need to live a comfortable, prosperous, relaxed, peaceful world. So then, as an example, not them, but I'm giving you an example, but if you look at history, probably them too, you just look, it's there. They go and they take the resources that they do have, and if you can shape these resources into a weapon, okay, then you can take that weapon to a place where they don't have a weapon similar to the one you have. And if yours happens to be a weapon that's dominant over the weapons that the other people have, then you can go over there and dominate them and take their resources. Okay, now if you take all of their resources, particularly the resources that they need to like I told you, water, food, if you take those or take control of those, then the people that had the resources, say like for example in Africa or someplace like that where there are people who look like me and you take those resources, then they don't have access to them. They could now die. And you can say, well, it's a natural disaster. They got famine. There's no food over there, which that's not true. Plenty of food here. Plenty. The land, it was provided for us naturally. It's beautiful. It's full of land that is rich and vibrant and can produce plenty of food. But if you come over here with your technology and you take control, or you actually take the resources of both, then those people are in danger. Those people are in danger. Okay, so let's think about it and take a step further. So I told you the most important thing in your life was this good brother Grandmaster Jay ran for president of the United States. What is the United States? They profess themselves to be the world leader. So that means he was actually trying to put himself in a position to be what? A world leader. Now, again, I just told you in the previous video, the United States professes that they're the leaders of humanity, the leaders of human rights, the leaders of all that's good in the world. They are the epitome of it. And he was saying, okay, well, that's all good. So I'm going to run for president, and that way I can participate in that, and I can provide some of this goodness to the world, and I can, maybe help everybody in the world. Nothing wrong with that. That's good. It's noble. That's honorable. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Okay. But remember, I told you, there's a problem. And here's the problem. Why he's the most important thing in our life right now. You and me and people who look like you and me, we know something. We know, as I told you in the beginning of this video, there's a duality taking place. There's a thing that you say, and then there's a thing that you do. We know they say leader, this, that, of the whole world. But then when you examine their activity, their actions, their history, and these are facts that any one of you can look at. We don't have to dispute it. We already know the history of relations with them and people that look like you and me. It's not one of equal justice and fairness, okay? So we know then if they take our resources and we are facing possible death, famine, starvation, economic deprivation, read Walter Rodney's book. Read it, look him up, Walter Rodney, you'll find it. Then this brother coming forward saying, hey, listen, I'm in America and I'm seeing that some things are happening to the people that are not natural because it's a political government and so forth. So I'm going to work within the system to try to help prevent some things that are happening to our people, causing them to lose their lives. I'm going to try to stop that. Within the system, in our brother's words, he says within the confines of the law. So he's telling you, no, I'm here to do good things for good people, but people who look like me and you, I'm here to help them. Now, I don't know if you have been paying attention. I know I have. Almost every day, there's some violence taking place against our people. People that look like you and me and our children. Okay, so let me give you an example so that you know I'm not making anything up. And I know you, if you have any kind of reasonable sense in your mind, you know I'm not making this up. Okay, I went back to 1900. And we already know prior to that, the 1800s, the 1700s, we know what was taking place over the world. If you don't, you need to look it up, and then you need to listen to some of the videos that I'm talking about and others. But let's go back 100 years. Now, I'm going to go back to 1900, but 100 years be roughly 1920. Prevalent in the United States back in 1900s, 1920s. There were lynchings taking place. The word lynching, you know what it is? Tell it. Look it up if you don't know. You should know. Lynching, you come down and you see some people hanging from a tree, from a rope. Okay? And the people look like me and you. Now, that's 100 years ago. Now, I have articles I'm going to show you where you can see. One article, it says 3,000 will be lynched. Did you hear what I said? And I don't remember the exact number. I'll get the article. But so let me just make it clear. The article says that they will be lynched. Will be. Not they have been. Not maybe. They will. In the newspaper. Headlines. So what that tells you is these people who don't look like me and you openly, publicly said, we are going to harm black people. People that look like me and you. Openly. Now, that's a threat. That's an open public threat put up by a corporate newspaper. Whether it was owned publicly or privately. I believe probably privately. But we'll talk more about that. The merger of public and private. It takes place. It exists. It's happening right now. So they publicly said, we're going to do this. That's back in the 1900s, early part, okay? Then they went and did it. In another article, you'll see, headline, they go into the police station. They tell you in the article, a mob ran into the police station, grabbed a brother. Brother looked like me and you. They grabbed him, threw him out the window with a rope around him, hung him, pulled him down to the road, dragged him down the street. Do you understand? That's what they did. Now, it's in the newspapers, in their public newspaper. Now, you can print the story, but wait a minute. Back up. You mean to tell me some people who don't look like you and me, some W's, can go into the police station? Police, weapons, guns, all that. The police couldn't stop them. They were able to overpower the police. Now, this is assumption because I wasn't there, but you got to assume that, because if you go into the police station and you're about to do something that is against the law, number one, but also a violation of police actions and policies. Police don't let you just come into the police station and do whatever you want to do. So they must have overpowered the police, right? They would have to be able to go in there, get in the cell. The guy's in there in the jail. You got to pull him out of the police station. And I don't know what the police were doing during this time. I don't really know. You know, they have a reputation of the donuts and coffee. I don't know if that's what they were doing, but apparently these W's were able to go in there and pull him out and hang this man. This is 1900, it's 100 years ago. Then, later in the century, I'm going to show you the video. There's a lady. She is doing whatever she's doing. She minding her own business, like most good brothers and sisters do, like the people that look like me and you would just mind their own business. So they go to her, grab her, and they hang her from a bridge. Lynching. They hang her from a bridge. A lady. You know, lady ain't bothering nobody. Come on, good sister. They ain't bothering nobody. So, to my surprise, I'm looking at the this is an article, newspaper article, and a photo. So I'm looking at the article, I'm looking at the paper, whatever. And next to her, hanging on the other side, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away, is a boy. A boy. Okay, so this boy is hanging. And so I read a little bit about what they're saying in the article, and the boy that's hanging is her son. So they hung W's, people that don't look like me and you. They hung that lady and her son. Now, here's what's alarming. Remember, I told you they broke into the police station and they took a brother out. So where were the police? What were they doing? These people, another group of people, just this is another place, whatever, another time. These people were able to get these people, hang them from a bridge, stand there and take photos. Where were the police? Where were the authorities, the public sector, who's supposed to be protecting everybody? Where were they? So these people took these pictures, hung this boy. This boy was a young teenager, took his life. It doesn't even matter why. Because what do they tell you? Everybody is innocent till proven guilty under the law of justice. This is what they tell you. Okay, all right, so let's leave that. Now let's go later. 1950s. Emmett Till, I told you guys about him, and many of you know, maybe many of you don't. This is a young boy, teenager. I got a son, okay? You have children too, men, okay? Remember I told you, most important person in your life right now, this brother who gave, and all them other brothers, and all of the brothers and sisters who stand up for us. This is why they're standing up. This is 1950 something. Emmett Till, young boy, said he was interacting with a W lady. Okay. Whatever he was doing, that doesn't give anyone the right to take this young boy and take his life. Because they took his life. They disfigured him. They tortured him. They disfigured him for however long it did. And it was so bad that when the brother got ready to have his funeral, you know, his face was terribly disfigured. But rather than his mother now, courageous sister, who's showing the world this duality I talked about. Oh, we good people, we love everybody, we all freedom, everybody, melting pot, all that. She said, no, it can't be that, because my son here, no justice, no court, no lady standing there with a blindfold holding his weight and all that, but all that symbolism, That boy was murdered by a group and mob of people. Now, I just told you 50 years from 1900. Murdered by people that don't look like me and you. Murdered. So then we go on. Now let's skip past that, because that's the 50s. In the 60s, this is the 60s now. I was born in the 60s. In the 60s, you can look up all the documentary videos, all of them, and you see the people what? Sick and German shepherds, dogs, attacking black men, women, and children. Because they say they didn't do anything wrong. They weren't violent. They didn't have any weapons. They didn't do anything. They just say, listen, we deserve to live in this world like everybody else. Now, if you look like me, and that's who I'm talking to, you all over the world, you look like me, you already know you don't need to be telling anybody you deserve to live and be like everybody else. You don't need to ask for that. We are not even supposed to be demanding that. But again, most important person in the world, Grandmaster J, John Fitzgerald Johnson, who sees all of the things I just talked about. He sees them too. He's a man in his right mind. And he had the courage to stand up and say, okay, not like many of us, myself included, he had the courage to stand up and say, no, I'm going to try to do something about this worldwide, because it's not just happening here in America. It's happening in every place where the W's are in control. Remember I told you, public, private. Public is the group of people, the W's, they call themselves the West, that go around the world with the resources I told you they gathered back then. And many of them resources, weapons, and they got them now. And then they go around and they tell the people, because they have superior weapons at this time, and it's not superior over everybody. They go to the places where they know that they have superior weapons over that group. Because there are certain groups they have to be very cautious and careful how they go with the other groups, because the other groups got the same weapons. But the groups that don't, they go over there, take their resources. Now that's 100 years ago, 400, 500, 600 years, 1,000 years. And they're doing the same thing now, same playbook. But this brother, the most important person in your life today, because he stood up to say, this has got to stop. Now, you notice what I said? He stood up. I didn't say he went and took action violently against anybody. He didn't do that. No, he stood up. That's what walking around, black boots, black pants, black shirt. They're just walking around. They didn't bother anybody. They followed your law, your rules, the rules that you said are applicable to everybody who lives in the United States. You said it. And they walked around and they didn't harm nobody. Okay? So, but he had the courage to say, okay, I'm a man and I'm going to walk around and I'm going to be in front. Courage. Courage, that's all. No violence. No misbehavior, nothing that you said is good to do. You have a history of doing that. Now, why did he do it? Which is why he's the most important person in the world to you today, all over the world. Listen to me. He is a force for good all over the world. Because he said the lives of human beings, black people who look like me and you, but if you understand logic and reasoning, when he says the lives of black people are not to be taken advantage of, murdered and killed and mistreated, that same principle says that the group who's trying to do that, just like if people see, and here's the problem, if people see this brother standing up saying, no, stop that, we're not going to allow that, then maybe other people in the world, other people that look very close to me, and you like brown people, Latin people, Hispanic people, Middle Eastern people, or whatever the people are that come in the different shades, that are the darker shades, and not what the W's call the Western alliance and powers. If they see him standing up, then, they might say, we want to stand up too. And there you go. That's the problem. You understand? That's the problem. So listen, I needed to come to you for you to understand. That's why he's the most important person in the world, because he stand up and he said, that activity has got to end. I went all the way up to 1960, but in the 70s, what was happening? Then they infiltrate the drugs in our community, the heroin. Then in the 80s, it became the crack. You understand? Then you had what? More lynchings, but they don't, not with the rope. They changed it. They start just beating people up over the street. Remember the dude? I can't remember his name, out of L.A. Rodney King. They beat him to death right there on the camera in front of everybody. Just like I told you the pictures of the people hanging. They took pictures. They made postcards, sent to each other. They burned the dude in line. They had a picnic. Come, you're going to sell some soda. You're going to sell some ice cream. You're going to sell some stuff. We're going to sit here and watch this brother. People in suits and ties. These are not, it's just the poor Southern people. No! These were people. And they were coming to an event, just like a fair. They coming to the event, then what's going to be on the agenda? What's the entertainment today? We're going to hang a black person. We're going to burn him and set him on fire. You can take a souvenir. You can take his hand. You can take his finger. You can take his ear. This is what they did. So this brother, Grandmaster Jay, said that's over. And when you say, well, that was back then. No, it wasn't back then. Remember, he told us there was a threat. There was a threat. This ain't real. I just showed you they gave a threat openly back then. So you people who want to sit back and say it's not, he made that up. He didn't make it up. You don't make up history like that. Look for yourself. Google newspaper headlines of black lynchings. Look it up. Go back 100 years. They showed you that they even had those today. Now, I'm talking to you brothers and sisters, but particularly the black men. You have to have some courage, man, because these people are going to send man after man after man after man after man. They're not going to stop. They're never going to stop. Understand that. Okay? So Grandmaster Jay, brother with courage, he said, it's got to stop. And he didn't do anything wrong, let's be clear. But he just stood up and said it's got to stop. And it does have to stop. Because I have children, you have children. We don't have to sit back and every year, every decade, watching our children be murdered. Everybody that's murdered was a child. And over time they became an adult. And when they murdered, maybe their parents were still alive. That's got to stop. And it's going to require, from black men, courage. That's all it is courage. So, most important person in the world because he stood up. Now, I went all the way up now to the 90s with Rodney King. They beat him right in front of you on TV. So you can sit and watch. And the W's sit back in their house with a soda, a Coca-Cola, whatever. They sit and they watch it and they enjoy it and they talk about it, hee ha ha. And then, oh, in front of you, oh, that's so bad. I'm sorry. That's sad. Oh, it's got to stop. But they're not going to do anything. Okay? But this brother did something. You have to show him that we support him and love him for what he did so that the next group and next generation, they have an example of what they're supposed to do. That's why I'm talking right now. Listen, when I'm gone, hopefully this video still plays. And remember, they'll take it down. But what I'm trying to show you is the courage. We got to stand up and say something. And we got to do stuff too. Now, I said do stuff. I didn't say go out and do. Yeah, I didn't say anything. So all the people, oh, you're violent. No, I didn't say anything like that. Get that out of your mind. But you come from a violent place. So they put that in your mind because they're violent. I just told you they hung people and they killed them. These people didn't have nothing to do. They came in mobs. I went up to the 90s. Now, you already know you've been in the 2000s. Just run a list. The lady come, hey, put your hands up. And they shoot her within 1 second, 2 seconds, shoot her through the window. The dude sitting there with eating some ice cream, whatever he's doing. Lady comes in there, kills him. Oh, I made a mistake. And the judge gonna hug her? The judge ain't never, listen, there's a problem. There's a problem in the minds of our people. It's got to change. And the only way it's going to change is we start putting out our own propaganda, courageously, talking to the people, explaining to them. See, and the reason why you hear this passion in me is because I'm tired of seeing it. And you should be tired of seeing it. And that requires action. The most important person in the world to you right now, just like Malcolm X was back then, just like Marcus Garvey, Patrice Lumumba, and all these other brothers who stood up, particularly the ones, even the brother, in Texas. What did he say his name was? Cosmo Tepera, I think was his name. He ain't no bad person. He's a hero. He's a hero. He said this has got to stop. Remember, give me liberty or give me death. Do you remember that? I had to read that stuff as a kid over and over again. That brother, he didn't say it. He did it. Give me liberty or give me death. He said, my people will remember me. They'll know what I did. Okay, now I'm just telling you this because I'm going to have to go. But I already went up to the 2000s. Okay, now 2020, 2019, 2018, Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, the Castile brother, the big brother in New York, they got on his back, choked him to death. Okay, it's not going to stop. It's been going on for thousands of years. I just gave you 100 years. And it's still happening right now. George Floyd. Then the brother from the Congo in my state, Michigan, pull him over, shoot him in the back of the head. He was on the ground. So listen, I got to go because we got to go someplace. Grandmaster J. Grandmaster J, a world leader, a force for good in the world, the entire world. Because when you stand up, you quote from, I think it's Martin Luther King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Well, yeah, that's true. So that means if a person stands up and says, hey, I'm going to show some courage and this has got to stop here, that message reverberates around the world. So what he did with his life is he made a statement and he took action. He didn't just run his mouth. No, he took action. No violence. No violence. Stop that. Don't let these people put their own little propaganda in your mind. They walked around, brother. Let me tell you something, because they tell us, oh, Hitler. Let me tell you something. Hitler has a book, Mein Kampf. And in there, one of the sections, he says, and no, I'm not promoting Hitler. No. Just like I told you, America, give me liberty, give me death. Remember? Remember that? Well, it's just a book. So in the book, the brother said, the weapons are nothing but a bunch of machines. I'm paraphrasing. The weapons are a bunch of machines. No, you have to have a man with the will to use that machine. That is the action and power. Do you understand? But just like Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, these people that they say are the enemies, all these people who demonstrate, they haven't done anything, but they have a parade. And they show, okay, this is what the potential power is. You walk down the street, you got your people, they're showing the potential power. They ain't do nothing. But the potential power. And this is what our good brothers and sisters did. Say, look, we don't want no problem, remember? We just like you. We believe in what you say, defense. Defense. We ain't gonna bother nobody. We just defend ourselves. And you say that's a good thing because that's what you do. So they said, okay, we're gonna defend ourselves. And they just walked around and talked to the people. Nothing wrong with that. You said there was nothing wrong with that. So anyway, I went all the way up through now. They're lynching people now. And the headline is not the newspaper because now we got what? This, YouTube, social media. You can see all of it. Do you understand? You can see it all. So it's still happening today. So that brother is the most important person in the world. We need to support him. He's away right now because what is the history of these people? If a brother or sister follows their own doctrine and says we're going to protect the people because we're leaders of peace and freedom, but because we say it, then they're going to come at them with their public system and private system. And this is what they've done to our brother. So look him up. Go to K Money's site, K Money Spoken Words. You can see she's got all the updated information. I'm going to try to get it on the updated information that shows where he's located, how you can donate to the cause to help support the brother. It's the most important thing in our lives. This brother, as I told you, is a world force, a world leader for good in the world, a positive force for good in the world, global leader. So everybody, if you don't know, look him up, Grandmaster J, John Fitzgerald Johnson, Nfac. Look him up. And all the other brothers. Listen, I told you before, Huey Newton Gun Club, Fred Hampton organization. And forgive me if I don't remember the names. I'm Babu, I'm old. I'm trying to get it all in. But look them up. The Black Panther Party. These people, they ain't bothering nobody. They're trying to be there to help us because the things are still happening. And you know it's happening. Don't put your head under the sand and ignore it. No, we're supposed to be putting out propaganda like they're putting out propaganda. Oh, we're supposed to be saying how good we are. And we are good, noble, and honorable. And the things that we do are good intentions. Just like them brothers and sisters, good intentions to protect people. And what they tell you, we're going over here because they're bombing, they're using weapons against their own people, so we got to go help the people. And we can't, as men, come and say we're going to help our people. I'm done with it. Look, I love you all. Uhuru. Uhuru. Uhuru.